course, no game night today because I'm here on the Sports Bash, so he's kind enough to join us 3 hours earlier than usual, which means I'm probably cutting into some sort of outdoor activity of his, so I appreciate him jumping on the show. Yes, it is Dave Weinberg for a Weinberg Wednesday here, joining us on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN, of course, live on YouTube and Twitter. Dave, how you doing on this day?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you? Unfortunately, I'm not outside. I had to take my sister-in-law to a doctor's appointment, so I was sitting in a parking lot of a very hot car, but I couldn't miss talking with you.
Well, I was worried I was interrupting some sort of bike ride or golf round or something this afternoon, so.
Oh, I got that in this morning because I had a feeling you'd be calling me early.
Okay. A little premonition going on there. I got you. So, Dave, obviously the Eagles were under about 28 hours from their next preseason game. And I want to ask you, as someone who covered the Eagles for over the course of 3 different decades, I want to know, what can we actually take from a preseason game? What can we actually read into these games? Because with a new coaching staff, with all the things that are going on, what can we really say is usable coming from a preseason game like we saw last Thursday and then tomorrow night?
Right. Not a whole lot, to be honest with you. As we've said before, the game plans are very vanilla, very basic. So you're basically just looking for execution. You're looking for the coaches and the players to be able to make the most of what they're given. Like I said, execute the plays the best they can. Mainly, you want to say, well, in the Eagles' case, you want to see Jalen Hurts have a couple good series before he departs for Joe Flacco and Nick Mullins. But you need to. It's primarily for the younger guys, to be quite honest with you. They're the ones who are they're auditioning not only for the Eagles, but for the rest of the NFL. They want to be able to put some good plays on tape because, the cut downs have already started. Unfortunately, we saw that Abdullah Anderson got let go by the Steelers, but that's going to be happening for the next couple of weeks now. People are going to be getting let go, and they're going to be looking to catch on with other teams. So the better they can play in the preseason opportunities are given, the better their chances are of catching on with somebody else if they don't stick with the Eagles.
Now, one of the guys who was potentially at least in line to maybe have a shot to make the team was Tyree Jackson. Broken bone in his back today at the joint practice. And I got to wonder, how is this going to impact the roster, Dave? Because we know, is Zach Ertz going to be here? Is he not going to be here? You can't put Jackson on the short-term IR until he actually makes the team. So you got to risk maybe cutting somebody and hoping that you can have a handshake agreement for them to come back. This really kind of murkies the waters for the Eagles when it comes to maybe some of their roster decisions. Do they just put Jackson on the full-term IR, redshirt him, and hope again for next year? A very interesting situation here with Jackson now.
Yeah, and he really impressed me the last week. I mean, he didn't have like huge stats or anything, but just the fact that he's been able to make that transition to tight end from quarterback, I believe it was.
Yes.
He's shown a lot of athleticism, a lot of potential. So I would seriously consider, putting him on a full-time IR or finding a way to place him on the practice squad. I guess probably waive him now and hope nobody else picks him up, and then you can add him at a later date. That's yeah, you're right. It's a tough decision to make. You got to weigh the potential against the right now, and I do think Zach is going to be here, and that kind of solidifies the tight end situation a little bit with Zach and Dallas Goedert, maybe Rodgers as well. So I think Jackson's more of a long-term project kind of guy. So, but if they can find a way to keep him around, they should do it.
And, they had 11 targets to the tight ends in the last preseason game out of 28 pass attempts. So it's not like Sirianni's afraid to have his quarterbacks go to the tight ends. For a guy who's more well known for cultivating wide receivers, he said, hey, man, Hurts, Flacco, if you see the tight end open, hit the tight end. I don't care. That's part of the offense. So it's good to see that Sirianni is at least saying, even in a vanilla situation, hit the open guy. Don't hyper-focus on a specific player on a specific play.
Yeah, and that's the main thing you want to see out of the quarterbacks. You want to see if they have the ability to adapt to the situation. I think Jalen's already proven that he can do that, but it was nice to see him do it in game action too for the preseason. And then there's no secret that the tight ends are going to be a focal point of this offense. You have you have a pretty good tandem with Zach and Dallas, so you have to take advantage of that. But and again, Devontae Smith is going to get a little bit of a taste, I guess, on Thursday. So if they can find a way to get some passes to him, that would be great too.
Dave Weinberg joining us for a Weinberg Wednesday, 3 hours earlier than usual here on 97.3 ESPN as I fill in for Mike Yell here on the Sports Bash. Dave, you mentioned Hurts. It seems like that all of a sudden, because the national media was at the joint practices this week, everyone is singing Jalen Hurts' praises, which makes me simultaneously shake my head and smile because it's like, oh, good, everyone else discovered that Jalen Hurts can play quarterback in the NFL thanks to some joint practices.
Right.
It's like I never understood why people are just so dead set about giving people a chance sometimes to have a chance to be successful when there's literally nothing about Hurts that says he can't play in the NFL. It's not like he's Tim Tebow who just completely whiffed on a block in a preseason game. Like, Jalen Hurts was making NFL throws last year and this year. Like, let the guy go out there and play. Stop writing him off where he has a chance to even prove himself.
Right. Everybody's so quick to rush their judgment with people, and that's a mistake that and sometimes you miss out on somebody who's really going to develop into a top player. I mean, I kind of feel bad for Tim. I'm a big fan of his, dating back to when he was with Denver and then was with the Eagles for just a brief second, and I still think that he could have been a quarterback in the NFL, but obviously the experts felt differently. And I don't know. I know everybody focused on that missed block. Can you tell? Look around the league at the tight ends that are primarily pass catchers, and you find that they're probably not very good blockers. And even Zach Ertz started out that way. I mean, he's made himself into a good one, and I think Tim might have done the same thing. But he's getting on in age. He's been out of the NFL for a while now. Baseball didn't work out so well, but I give all the credit in the world for giving it a shot. It didn't work out, but it's not for lack of a try. For them to for people to just trash him as you can. I think I saw one radio announcer or one broadcaster was saying that you can go into any Gold's Gym and find a guy who can play tight end like Tim Tebow. No, you can't. You're talking about a guy who was a 2-time Heisman Trophy winner, a guy who was the best college football player at the time, maybe in the top 5 all time. A guy who made it to, was good enough to play in AAA in the minor leagues, albeit not very well, but he still made it. And I just think that they're doing him a real disservice. But to get back to Jalen, you're right. I mean, everybody's just kind of, now you agree that he can play. Well, you were ready to trash him a couple of weeks ago before you went to the joint practice. Give the kid a chance. Let him play a few games here before you decide whether he's going to go to Canton or not.
Right. Yeah. The other thing, people forget. Peyton Manning led the NFL in interceptions his first year in the league. People forget all these young quarterbacks. They go through growing pains.
Sure.
It's part of sports.
Absolutely.
So, to me, I love Jalen Hurts personally. I'm a huge fan of his. I love his mentality. I love his work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
I love his leadership. So to me, I'm honestly, I'm supposed to be objective, but I'm also rooting for the guy in some ways because I feel like he's a representation of what hard work can be. Because at the end of the day, football is supposed to be a meritocracy. It's not supposed to be a situation where people are handed jobs anyway, Dave.
Correct. You're right. And Jalen will prove whether he can handle it or not. And I think he can. I'm with you. I'm a pretty big fan of his, dating back to his college days. The leadership thing can't be discounted. I mean, it's not the be all and end all. Obviously, it ultimately comes down to whether you can make the plays or not. But I think he's proven that he certainly has the potential to do so. You heard all talk about Deshaun Watson, what have you. I never really thought that was a good idea. I think you got rid of Carson. Give Jalen a chance to prove that he's the guy that can handle the job. And I think he's gotten off to an encouraging start so far.
Now, Dave, just to circle back to what you said about Tebow. So I'm not a Tebow hater. I don't hate Tebow.
Sure.
But my thing with Tim was I felt like
Okay.
he got the opportunity in Jacksonville because of Urban Meyer. And I felt it was a little bit of nepotism for him to get that opportunity instead of him maybe making that transition to tight end and maybe working at it for a while and building up to getting that chance. So that was my problem. It wasn't really as much with Tim.
No question.
It is about the fact that I feel like Urban Meyer is
being from Jacksonville didn't hurt either.
Well, that didn't help either. Yeah, exactly. So, but I just feel like Urban Meyer, he's been really weird down there in Jacksonville. Like, and it's like, he's supposed to be the CEO coach and he says weird stuff and he does weird stuff. And it's like, there's a part of me that thinks Urban Meyer's going to be a complete bust in the NFL. So to me, the Tebow thing was less about Tim. It was about how Urban has handled the whole thing.
Yeah, Urban. I'm kind of surprised that he even take that job. I mean, he pretty much burned out at Ohio State. A lot of physical and emotional problems. I thought they kind of led him to step away from coaching. Now the NFL was an even bigger pressure cooker. Well, maybe not. People like Ohio, Alabama, what have you, Florida, but it's still a pretty big deal. And I'm surprised that he would even take that job. But yeah, he's a strange guy. I should say a unique guy, kind of a character. It's going to be interesting to see if he can weather the storm and and turn Jacksonville around. I don't know that he'll be able to stick with it long enough to do that, but yeah, that's certainly a different situation. I'm about Nick also, but I guess with any new guy, can do.
Dave Weinberg joining us for a Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Still there, Josh? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I got you now. You got me? So we'll hopefully we can reconnect with Dave. I do want to ask you about Tom Ferraco stepping down, because as I asked Mike McGarry earlier, this area has been very fortunate to have some major boys basketball coaches and some great coaches in all sports. And when you look at someone like Tom Ferraco, they don't make them like that anymore. There's not a lot of coaches like that. And even on the girls' side, a coach like Steve DiPatri has done an incredible job down at Wildwood Catholic. And it just seems like, for these coaches who, are coming in and out, you're not going to get many of those people anymore. I believe we got Dave back here on the stream. Dave, you got me now?
I sure do. Yeah. Sorry about that, Josh. I don't know what's going on. I guess it's the heat and the humidity.
Well, blame it on somebody, because you literally haven't moved the entire time you've been on with me. So it's not like you did anything differently. True. So.
You asking me about Tom Ferraco?
Yeah, I was asking because, it's he's this time retiring what I would say was on his terms. Before, cancer pushed him away from the sport. Now he's saying, I've given all I can. I'm stepping away. And to me, this is a big moment because, there's not a lot of coaches like Tom Ferraco out there that hang around a program since 1981.
Yeah, actually, Tom and I go back further than that. He was at Wildwood Catholic when I was at Lower Cape May, and we played baseball against each other for a few years in high school. So, I've known Tom for a long time. And, it's nice that he's able to go out on his own terms, like you said this time. His battle with cancer kind of forced him to the sideline before. And, I was kind of surprised that he'd even come back when he did. But he obviously felt like he owed it to the school, and I guess owed it to himself to give it one more try. But he certainly didn't owe anybody anything. And, he's had a legendary career, a fantastic coach, a great guy too. And, the best, all the best to him. And whatever he decides to do in the future, I guess run a liquor store or what have you, and maybe get a little bit more beach time in. But yeah, he's had a great career, and he deserves to go down as one of the top coaches ever in the state, to be honest with you.
And I was mentioning earlier, Dave, before you came on, people like Tom Ferraco, Paul Rodeo, Gene Allen. I mean, these guys are, big names in South Jersey boys basketball, but they're not getting any younger. What was that?
John Bruno from Ocean City, same thing. Yep.
John Bruno. I mean, but these guys aren't getting any younger, Dave. These guys are eventually all going to be moving on and not going to be coaching anymore. And it seems like an entire era of South Jersey boys basketball is slowly fading away.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Dewey, same thing. He's my age also. I actually played against him in high school also. And, yeah, there's a lot of guys that are in that 60, 65, 70-year-old range. And I think there's probably a few guys like in the wings coming up. I mean, Scott McCracken, the Wow, is doing a fantastic job. And he's considerably younger, I think, anyway. But, yeah, there's it might be getting time for new blood for some of the younger assistants maybe, or guys who are just waiting for that opportunity to get it. And I don't think the basketball pool here is so deep, and the talent is enormous. The programs are fantastic. I can't see them falling by the wayside, but it's just open that it's all a matter of finding the right guy to step in for the guy that's there or just left, and keeping the program afloat and flourishing. And I think they'll be able to do that.
Follow him on Twitter at Dave Weinberg, 19 extra point columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. He's kind enough to join us from his hot car in the middle of the afternoon, 3 hours earlier than usual, for a Weinberg Wednesday here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, go find some cold water and some air conditioning. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, Josh. You too. Thanks again. I'll talk to you next week.